Have you ever wondered why samurai, the legendary warriors of Japan, would choose to end their own lives in a ritual known as seppuku, or as it's more commonly known in the West, harakiri? It seems shocking, even barbaric to us today. But for the samurai, this act was deeply tied to their code of honor, Bushido. It wasn't about giving up. It was about maintaining control, dignity, and honor, even in the face of death. Today, we're going to delve into the complex and often misunderstood world of the samurai to uncover the true meaning behind this solemn ceremony. So, what exactly is seppuku? The term literally means cutting the belly. It was a highly ritualized form of suicide, practiced primarily by the samurai class in feudal Japan. But it's crucial to understand that this wasn't a spontaneous act. It followed a strict protocol. The samurai, dressed in a white kimono, would kneel on a special cloth. Before him would be a short blade, the wakizashi, placed on a tray. He would compose a death poem, reflecting on his life and the transient nature of existence, and then perform the cut. It was a demonstration of incredible courage and self-control. But why the stomach? In ancient Japanese culture, the hara, or abdomen, was believed to be the center of a person's spirit, will, and emotions. By cutting it open, a samurai was symbolically showing the world that his soul was pure and untainted by shame. It was the ultimate act of sincerity, proving that he had nothing to hide. This was far more than just a method of dying. It was a profound statement about one's inner character. It was a way to display his spirit, pure and unblemished, for all to see. There were several reasons a samurai might commit seppuku. The most common was to avoid capture by an enemy. Being taken prisoner was considered the ultimate disgrace. A captured samurai would bring shame not only upon himself, but also upon his lord and his entire family. By performing seppuku before capture was imminent, he could die an honorable death, preserving his and his family's reputation. It was a choice to die with dignity on his own terms rather than face humiliation at the hands of his foes. Seppuku could also be a form of capital punishment. When a samurai committed a serious crime, such as treason or a grave dishonor, he might be ordered by his lord or the shogunate to take his own life. This was still considered an honorable death. It allowed the samurai to atone for his mistakes and die as a warrior, rather than being executed like a common criminal. This form of seppuku maintained the distinction of the samurai class and respected their martial status even in disgrace. It was a way of cleansing their name through a final, courageous act. Another fascinating reason was a form of protest known as kanshi. If a samurai strongly disagreed with a decision made by his lord but was bound by loyalty not to openly defy him, he might commit seppuku to make his point. This was an extreme form of remonstrance. The shock of such a loyal retainer sacrificing his life would force the lord to reconsider his actions. It was a tragic but powerful way to demonstrate unwavering loyalty and profound concern for the welfare of the clan. There was also a practice called junsure, which means following the lord in death. When a powerful daimyo, or feudal lord, passed away, his most loyal retainers would sometimes commit seppuku to follow him into the afterlife. They believed their duty as samurai did not end with their master's death. This practice demonstrated the ultimate bond of loyalty between a lord and his vassal. However, as time went on, this practice was seen as a wasteful loss of valuable warriors and was eventually discouraged and even outlawed in the Edo period. Now, let's talk about the ritual itself. It was a formal, somber affair. While the samurai was expected to make the cut himself, he wasn't always expected to finish the act alone. This is where the kaishakunin, or second, came in. The kaishakunin was usually a trusted friend or a skilled swordsman. His role was to stand behind the samurai with a katana, ready to perform a decapitation at the moment of the cut. This was an act of compassion. Its purpose was to spare the samurai a prolonged and agonizing death. The skill of the kaishikunin was to cut the neck in such a way that the head remained partially attached by a small flap of skin, so it would fall forward into the samurai's arms, preserving the dignity of the scene. The entire ceremony was steeped in symbolism. The white kimono symbolized the purity and readiness for death. The death poem, or jisei, was a final creative act, a chance to express one's last thoughts with grace and beauty. Even the location was chosen with care, often a quiet Zen garden or a temple. Every element was designed to transform a violent death into a transcendent act of honor and control. The setting, the attire, the poetry, it all contributed to the solemnity and significance of the event, framing it not as a failure, but as the final performance of a samurai's duty. The practice of seppuku began to decline with the end of the samurai era. When Japan was opened to the West in the mid-19th century and the feudal system was dismantled during the Meiji Restoration, the samurai class was officially abolished. Their swords were banned, and their ancient privileges were removed. With the disappearance of the warrior class, the code of Bushido and its associated rituals like seppuku faded from public life. The modernization of Japan meant adopting new legal and social systems, leaving no place for such feudal practices. However, the spirit of seppuku and its connection to honor didn't disappear entirely. It has lingered in the Japanese cultural consciousness. A famous modern example is the author Yukio Mishima, who committed ritual suicide in 1970 as a protest against what he saw as the decline of traditional Japanese values. While his act was shocking and controversial, it showed how deeply these concepts of honor, protest, and ritual death were ingrained in parts of the Japanese psyche, even into the 20th century. So, to understand seppuku is to understand the heart of the samurai code. It was a world where honor was more valuable than life itself. Seppuku was the ultimate expression of that belief, a way to control one's destiny, prove one's purity of spirit, and die with the same discipline and courage that defined a samurai's entire existence. It's a stark reminder of how different historical values can be from our own, and a window into the soul of Japan's legendary warriors. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into samurai history. If you found this fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more explorations into the incredible stories from our past. Let me know in the comments what other historical topics you'd like to see covered. Until next time, stay curious.